The history of the United States of America is a complex and fascinating story that spans over 4 centuries. It all began in the early 1600s when European settlers first arrived on the shores of North America. These settlers, primarily from England, France, and Spain, established colonies along the eastern seaboard, seeking economic opportunities and religious freedom. The first successful English colony was founded at Jamestown, Virginia, in 1607. Over the next century, more colonies were established, including Massachusetts, New York, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. These colonies were governed by the British Crown, but they developed their own unique cultures and economies. By the mid-18th century, tensions between the American colonies and the British government were reaching a breaking point. The colonists were unhappy with British taxation and restrictions on trade, leading to protests and acts of rebellion. In 1776, the colonies declared their independence from Britain and formed the United States of America. The newly independent nation faced many challenges in its early years. The Revolutionary War, fought between 1775 and 1783, was a long and bloody conflict that tested the resolve of the American people. But with the help of allies like France, the United States emerged victorious and secured its independence. In 1787, the Founding Fathers drafted the Constitution, which established a system of government based on principles of democracy and federalism. The Constitution created a framework for the new nation, outlining the powers of the federal government and the rights of the states and individuals. The early years of the United States were marked by rapid expansion and growth. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803 doubled the size of the country, while westward expansion brought settlers to new territories like Texas, California, and Oregon. The country's economy boomed, fueled by agriculture, industry, and trade. But the United States also faced internal divisions and conflicts. The issue of slavery, which had been a contentious issue since the founding of the nation, came to a head in the mid-19th century. The Civil War, fought between 1861 and 1865, was a brutal and devastating conflict that pitted the northern states against the southern states over the issue of slavery. The Civil War ended in 1865 with the defeat of the Confederacy and the abolition of slavery. The United States entered a period of Reconstruction, during which the country sought to rebuild and reunite after the war. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments were passed, granting freedom and civil rights to African Americans. The late 19th and early 20th centuries were a time of rapid industrialization and urbanization in the United States. The country became a global economic powerhouse, with industries like steel, oil, and railroads driving growth and prosperity. Immigrants from around the world flocked to America in search of opportunity and a better life. But this period of growth was also marked by social and economic inequality. Labor strikes, protests, and movements for social reform emerged as workers and activists fought for better wages, working conditions, and rights. The Progressive Era, which lasted from the late 19th century to the early 20th century, saw the passage of laws and reforms aimed at addressing these issues. The United States entered the 20th century as a world power, with a growing influence on the global stage. The country played a key role in both World War I and World War II, helping to defeat the Axis powers and secure peace and stability in Europe and Asia. The end of World War II marked the beginning of the Cold War, a period of tension and rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union. The post-war years saw the United States emerge as a superpower, with a booming economy and a strong military. The country became a leader in science, technology, and culture, with innovations like the space program, the internet, and rock and roll shaping the modern world. The civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s brought about important changes in American society as African Americans and other marginalized groups fought for equality and justice. The United States faced new challenges in the late 20th and early 21st centuries. The Vietnam War, the Watergate scandal, and the September 11th terrorist attacks all tested the country's resolve and unity. But through it all, the United States remained a beacon of freedom and democracy, standing as a symbol of hope and opportunity for people around the world. Today, the United States is a diverse and dynamic nation, with a rich history and a bright future. From the early days of the colonies to the present day, the United States has been shaped by the ideals of freedom, equality, and opportunity. As we look to the future, we must remember the lessons of the past and strive to build a more perfect union for all Americans.